Okay, now into the we're gonna be reacting to why was Jax forgiven too easily. My question is, in realistically, I don't think he was forgiven in that episode. I'm gonna put a white screen. Okay, help my thing. I don't think he was really forgiven in this episode. Like, I think there was obviously a lot of stuff, and obviously that literally just being mad at someone wouldn't have helped anyone in that situation. Realistically. Like, it literally wouldn't have helped anyone. So that's my fault. I don't know how the fandom react to scene or not. Not feeling like the super well right now. Like, really not feeling super well. My whole throat feels like it's burning on acid. I did actually get my draw up. That's been meaning out for a couple of weeks. But it's like, don't know if you can see it on the camera. Yeah, that. I need to get up for a couple of weeks. It's just been. It looks a bit weird because my jaw is normally wide. Now it's like up, so it definitely feels weird, especially when it's bigger. It feels really weird. But anyway, yeah, enough about that. Let's get into this video.
Not gonna lie, when Pomni said,
"We've all done bad things,"
this was my reaction.
Realistically, I think the only one you can argue that did bad things is Kinger, because technically Kinger is responsible for them being trapped just for the fact that he helped make Kane. Like, obviously they had no indication of that, but you helped make an AI, and the AI is the reason doing this, so you're partly responsible. Love King as a character, don't get me wrong, probably my second favorite character. And then maybe Ragatha, because we don't know the whole lot of her past. We don't know what she got here, and we don't really know what happened after, or with them and Jax. Maybe she did do something, but we obviously haven't seen, or maybe we are going to see. Who knows? Yeah.
Oh wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
Shit is so funny because what is she talking about? Zubul can be mildly abrasive, Gangle was a little too much when they were a manager, and Kinger is a precious boy who has never done anything wrong in his life. You know, besides. Pomni should have been a comedian, or at the very least a politician, as she is lying her ass off in front of everyone.
Like, you know, how Kane's dad didn't ask to be great, and obviously, you know, be great, and maybe use that, maybe been that, I don't know.
In no world am I lumping in these mentally ill survivors in the same tier as bad as Jax.
Oh no! It looks like I've taken Ragatha and dropped her in the deep fryer.
Look, I love the most recent episode of Digital Circus. Kane finally snapped. Kinger got a backstory. It was banger after banger moments. But while I'm loving what I am getting, a sentiment that I've seen pop up online was just a general annoyance with how Jax was being handled. That bro has been terrible since Jump, a menace with no limit, and after throwing the entire group under a non-existent bus, him just getting to be cool with everyone, with Gangle of all people saying that they gotta get over what he did, that has apparently rubbed some people the wrong way, as Jax is an asshole who, after everything he has pulled from just bullying the self-esteem.
Like I said, like, realistically, there's no actual benefit for just pushing Jax away, because even if you push Jax away or isolate Jax, he's probably still going to try and annoy people, or at worst, he's going to sit in his room and probably abstract or whatever. Like,
out of Gangle to chucking Ragatha into boiling oil because he was bored. To do all that and to just be forgiven so easily is okay.
If we're being honest, he's probably done more. He's my favorite character, by the way, so I am talking about Jax as he's my favorite character. I'm not obviously, you know, I'm not saying obviously he's redeemable at all. I'm pretty sure Goosewalker herself has said Jax is basically irredeemable, and Jax has to make way too much excuses for Jax. Which, yeah, you can make some excuses for certain actions, but you know, especially actions with Gangle, you can't make excuses to that. Second of all, what was I gonna say? We don't even know, like, everything Jax has done. We only know from Gangle in episode 6, like, they were talking about Jax, and Jax played some more crazy stuff off screen, if I'm gonna guess. Well, before
it's a video I've wanted to make for a while about Phantom Spaces, and the at times punitive standards are held for a character who is considered going through redemption. So let's call this a first draft on a topic I've been mulling over for a while, and actually try to answer the question on whether Jax was forgiven.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think this is technically a redemption arc. Like, there was no really them redeeming anything in this thing, because he's still being the same usual, just obviously that toned down by so much, and obviously still trying to push himself away, but obviously he ended up being told to stay. I wouldn't say it's a redemption per se, especially from episode 8. This came episode 9's trailer. This came out before episode 9's trailer actually came out. So yeah. But I don't think there's anything of. Also, I just want to double check what might. Okay. Let's need to double check that. I don't think this counts as a redemption, personally. That's my thoughts on the whole situation. I don't really think it counts as a redemption arc.
Too easily, what even counts as redemption or forgiveness for a character like him? And how thoroughly does a character's actions need to be interrogated by those they hurt? Especially when the message of the story is fundamentally about flawed people coming together. This will be controversial, probably. Less controversial than whatever the fuck I said about Invincible this week, but for the sake of shits and giggles, let's talk about Jax. Again.
Nobody can see this, right?
Context for those trying to raw dog a Digital Circus video without having seen the show. Hi, welcome. For some reason. Autoplay, I know, it's always autoplay. But Digital Circus is the story of a bunch of people who got trapped in what they think is a video game. But unlike most other versions of this trope, death isn't an option and the win condition is non-existent. They're just trapped here, forever, period. With the only thing they're really able to do is try and
do anything like that. They are just trapped here, and maybe if they die in the game, they actually do die in real life, but they obviously don't know they're actually dead in real life. Like, for example, if they're shot inside the game, they're technically dead in real life, obviously, if they don't actually know that or feel that. And maybe that's also why they feel the pain, because they feel that body maybe shot in real life. Maybe, well, I guess if that ends up being a thing, we'll find out. Unless obviously there's the Soma theory where they're all just not real, which I kind of don't like, to be honest.
Not go insane and abstract, which as we will later find out is just suicide. So, like a bad panic attack, the characters are told just don't worry about it and you're fine, but that just makes you worry about it even more. Shit sucks. It's an existential crisis in the middle of an I Spy book with an AI named Kane holding dominion over everything. And he is obsessed with making them happy, even though he couldn't spot someone mentally spiraling if he lived with them for years, which happened.
Seriously.
Trapped in a world where nothing matters, the players are humans who put on a headset, and most likely their brain got copied and inserted into this, where honestly, all they have
matters basically not abstracting matters, being like escaping does matter, but like not thinking of escaping, I guess.
To do is try not to die. There's no point, no escape, just a choice between existing as yourself or as an insane monster called an abstraction. This is a series all about people coping with the meaninglessness of their existence, with each person having a different reaction.
I do wonder what take abstraction is. We know it's where you go insane, but we don't actually know what that entails. Are you just like consistently conscious while you're abstracting? It looks like you're not conscious. Or maybe you are and you can see what's happening around you, but you're in, because from Jax's point of view, it looks like kind of subconscious area. You're not really conscious or visual what's going on. But I do wonder what that thing means. I know some people think, oh, if you're abstract, does that mean you just escaped and you led to the real world, but your mind file abstracted, I guess? I don't know. Like, it could be that. Or it could just simply be the fact that they, went crazy, and then that's all there is to it. I know a lot of people are thinking the abstractions are going to run wild in episode 9, and if there's a video on that, I do want to watch that. But, like, I generally am curious as to the abstracted people are going to run wild, because I will actually enjoy that quite a bit.
To this, it's just hell. From being obsessed with trying to act like everything is normal, depression, or collapsing inwards, everyone is doing their best, no one is winning, but there is clearly a loser.
I'm close.
Gaza is at a tipping point.
Jax can be best described as a bully, his best friend Rivet abstracted, so leaving him alone, blaming himself, and feeling like the others were blaming him, Jax embraced nihilism to cope with being here, denying that any of this is real, that nothing he does matters, and even denying his own existence by telling himself that he's not real. He's just a cartoon character, the snarky comedic relief a la Bugs Bunny.
We saw in episode 8 that he literally said this is real, and I'm assuming he thought it was a dream or something else, or he thought they were all cartoon characters. I might I'm sure he thought it was all a dream on his own head, or he thought he was in a coma and this is what he was experiencing. If he thought he was in a coma, I can see him having a car crash and then him ending up here and him thinking he was in a coma. I can see that being a thing.
Messes with the cast and talks to a non-existent audience. He doesn't want anything to really mean anything, as it gives him carte blanche to treat the others just like his playthings.
So
not having to consider their feelings or what he's doing, Jax truthfully is just terrified, barely holding on by a thread, and resents the universe for trapping him here, with him responding to this lack of control over his own life by trying to lose himself in the moment, finding joy in pranks, violence, and screwing with everyone else, because feeling some level of control over them, poking, prodding to beta reaction, that temporarily eases his own feelings of powerlessness. It's all bullshit, a mask he puts on to hide from his own insecurities, but just because he's having an understandable reaction to an extreme situation, that doesn't mean he's not a horrible person to be around. Everyone else is struggling just like he is, and Jax is making things worse for everyone. Gangle, his main target, gets it so bad that on top of her already low self-esteem, later talks about how she feels like she's nothing, thinking that Jax would retaliate and harass her for simply not agreeing to be on his team. Jury is still out on whether he would or not, but the fact that Gangle would feel like this in the first place really cements just how long and how bad Jax's behavior has been. That this feels like it's within the
bad to Gangle, which I can understand. I understand. Well, Gangle's point of view on it, right? You can really see seeing what we've seen in literally every episode that he's at least done something to Gangle. Maybe episode 7.
Realm of possibility to Gangle. That's bad. Also, he unloads a full clip into Ragatha.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
So yeah, there is smoke to that fire, with Jax's general mistreatment of the others is proof that he has always prioritized himself over everyone else, which hits its peak in episode 7, where under the belief that they finally have a chance to escape the circus, Jax, who is kind of having a panic attack right now, rushes past everyone else and hits.
I'm gonna be honest, realistically, like that scene, I don't know if I mentioned the reaction, but Pomni had so much time to actually click the button. Like, obviously Jax, and there's a theory out that Kane was like literally messing with his head. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. But Jax, Pomni literally went there and said, "Oh, Kane, do you want to press it? Let's talk about it, let's think." And everyone, even Zoo was like, "Why would we just leave it up? Just hurry up and press it." Like, everyone in there could have easily walked up there. But Pomni, the fact that she waited, and also everyone else was watching Pomni for sure. Pomni was looking backwards where Jax is. Sure, you would have at least seen him just acting weird, right? Like, you've seen Jax act weird this whole episode, and you're not like, "Oh, Jax, calm down, calm down." And she also said everything to be right before. Like, she had so much time, and when the people were seeing, they always talking about Jax messing up. Like, maybe in initial reaction, they're talking about Pomni, but like after seeing, most people talk about Jax because obviously, you know, he obviously clicked the button and he trapped them with and we don't know that obviously was actually trapping them there, or if that was true and came mess with it. All in all, I still blame Pomni, but I blame Jax obviously more, but I blame Pomni at least a bit. Plus the
stay button. Now, this choice was bullshit, but in a world and story where the only meaningful actions left to the players are how they treat one another, this could reasonably be the final straw. What makes everyone else turn on Jax and kick him out of the group. That it was bad enough that he was antagonizing Gangle, gaslighting Ragatha into thinking that she told Gangle to kill herself when she was drunk, screaming at Pomni when all she wanted was to be his friend.
To be fair, we don't know if Ragatha actually said that or not. Ragatha doesn't know herself, so technically we don't know. She could have easily said that.
Would pick his own comfort, his desire to deny reality at the expense of costing everyone else a chance to leave, the others would be well within their rights to never forgive him for this, even after it's revealed that leaving was never an option. But Jax didn't know that, so it's still pretty fucking bad. Only for the next episode to pick up right where we left off, and everyone decides to
Facemoji has tons of awesome themes, fonts, and text art to choose from. Download now.
I go on to downloading this, so why are you...
If you're living with schizophrenia, you may be eligible to participate in a paid clinical research study of a...
This, I think, is one of the key things to understand about this scene. The point of it is not to actually redeem or forgive Jax. He is still an asshole who has not apologized or put in any work to prove that he won't slip back into his old jackassery. In fact, we see him a few scenes later still...
Yeah, he was trying to start upon this scene, but like, obviously everyone just kind of done. No one even looked at him. I don't think anyone looked at him. What's that?
Trying to stir the...
Like, I don't think anyone looked at him.
Pot.
Yeah, everyone was kind of just out of it in that episode. No one even bothered looking at him or telling him. I feel like Zubul's like, would be like, oh, shut up at the very least. She didn't say, they didn't say anything, Ryra didn't say anything, they just stood quiet.
And comments blaming Pomni and Zubul for Kane's crash out. No, what this scene is primarily doing is having the characters process what just happened.
The thing is, I blame at Kane's crash out, I blame Zubul most of all, simply because in all the episodes, I feel like Zubul at least antagonized Kane, even though Zubul knew Kane was glitching. Like, Zubul even mentioned herself. Zubul obviously did all that. And Zubul obviously wasn't actually participating in the adventures, probably letting Kane down eventually. And obviously when Pomni arrived, I think it was shortly after, Pomni also was talking about exit and talking about like leaving and all that. And then Pomni also started getting annoyed, the new adventure member. He just broke from that. So realistically... So
terms with the fact that they will never escape, and talk about how they want to collectively move from now on. That before this, they were all floundering. While often hanging out as a group, each of them was suffering alone. They did it because it was routine, not because they truly confide or lean on one another. This is all them venting and...
I think people who were suffering alone was probably only Ragatha and Jax. Zubul, well, I don't know how long Zubul's been there compared to Jax. Ragatha, but at least till we arrived, Gangle and Zubul are decently close. I won't say anywhere near for what they've progressed to, but like were at the very least like probably talking occasionally. And then obviously Kinga is not really suffering alone. He's out of it unless he's in the dark, and he was suffering alone before everyone arrived. Fair enough.
I forgot, where do we go from here? And how do they live watching their hopes and dreams get brained on the floor in front of them by Kane? So, in the spirit of that discussion, the question of what do we do with Jax is interesting. If Zubul had their way, he would be locked in a box till he abstracts and they go throw a party. Which fair, but while cathartic, that's not the message Digital Circus is trying to send. That isolating and throwing away Jax would go against the worldview that might actually help them all survive. That being empathetic, caring for one another, this is what's going to allow them to get through this. So, exiling Jax because it would feel good, that would be some shit he would do. So it clearly won't save them, community will. And making sure that no one ever feels like they don't matter. Even when they're desperately trying to prove...
People hate Jax. The thing is, people who hate Jax want him just to be isolated. They don't even want him to bother interacting with anyone. They're like, if people actually accept him, like, oh my god, that is so bad. Why are they accepting Jax, etc., etc. Realistically, if you can manage to calm him down, even if he's done bad stuff, if you're all going to be trapped there, there's really no point in making enemies or making stuff awkward. If you can somehow convince Jax to change, it will have been for the better, because then, and not like constantly bring it up consistently, because of the fact that, like, let's be honest here, you probably, if I was trapped here and I obviously didn't know I can conjure stuff and all that, I would hate the fact that I'm like trapped here with someone I don't like, or trapped here with someone I'm not getting along with. It would feel so annoying.
That they don't.
I do not care about you or anyone else in this circus in the slightest.
But I'm not in denial.
Great scene.
I'm in denial.
Jax isn't really forgiven. The group realizes that hating him just won't do any good, which reflects a real-world psychology thing where it's not about forgiving or hating the people that wronged you. The real peace of mind comes from moving on, to not let them take up room in your mind and free yourself to live on your own terms. Now, the issue here is that Jax is still very much living with them. He is still a prick. So having Pomni give that fat "we've all done bad things," equating Jax's bullying to Ragatha's aggressive people-pleasing, does hit a little weird when you look at the actual specifics of what's been done and how it's basically all him. When really what Pomni is trying to say, the argument that she's building towards, is that they have to let go of the past. They have to let go of the idea of who they could have been before the circus, as they are never gonna escape, so they can't keep dwelling on it. And the reason this works is that from the viewer's perspective, we understand that this is pretty much all Jax really needs. That his crippling fear of vulnerability has him lashing out and antagonizing everyone else in the circus. He's always known what he's doing is wrong. His shame over what he did in episode 6 had him hiding and isolating in 7, where with nowhere else to go, he just hides in his room where he nearly abstracts.
Now, why did I pause it on him getting skinned? This scene is really good. Definitely do not watch the scene in slow motion. It feels weird and uncomfortable. Like, I watched it in slow motion just to see how it would look, and oh my god, I think other people play it in slow motion in their videos sometimes too. But in general, this scene with him getting skinned, like, this thing about it, they actually can and do feel pain. So this is him physically getting skinned, and yeah, that will probably hurt like a lot. If you're being completely honest, more than you think. And yeah, and then obviously the whole scene with him with Stratton was also very good.
Jax wants and hates to be seen. It's why he pretends nothing matters, as that's how he justifies to himself that his actions are okay. But for him, after doing what he did, I think Jax...
How do I... One sec, I just want to double... I'm gonna see my location. Okay, I don't know why, but my whole thing, like, I don't know what's wrong with the Wi-Fi, disconnected my phone, I wouldn't connect for a while. But yeah, it's been like 5 minutes, and I'm gonna continue. I went back 10 seconds, because I know exactly where I left off, and yes.
Jax wants and hates to be seen. It's why he pretends nothing matters, as that's how he justifies to himself that his actions are okay. But for him, after doing what he did, I think Jax was fully expecting to never be forgiven. That when Zubul started yelling...
He literally looks super shocked by Zubul. Out of everyone there, the only people, like, Zubul and Gangle, you would expect them not to actually tell. Gangle obviously said it doesn't matter, and obviously, you know, there's no point in Matt Jax, and Zubul actually made Jax stay. Those two, out of everyone there, I thought Dragonfall would be the one to say Jax stay, even if Dragonfall is at odds with Jax. Dragonfall is the nice one to group, even if it's fake nice, still nice one to group. Out of all of them, I was pretty surprised those two actually decided to say that, which, yeah. You can see how dire it is. They probably made,
at him. He knew he had this coming and was ready to be kicked out of the group, giving him an excuse to go back to his room and rot. But instead, Gangle agrees with him that nothing matters, and hating him won't make any of them actually feel better. Zubul says he can stay, and that clearly means the world to him. Even if he never once tries to apologize, shows visible remorse, or really makes any move to atone for his actions, before the others decide almost in spite of his behavior that he is in fact one of them, and they are all in this together, reconnecting Jax to the community that he needs more than anyone else. Zubul saying he can stay hits hard if you relate to Jax or anyone who felt like, oh, I can't stay, I've done bad things, and you just don't think you can face them. And this, being said here, leaves the door open for him to fix his shit. No, he isn't even close to redeeming himself, but that's not the point of the scene. Jax isn't forgiven, he is simply not excommunicated.
Well, in this episode, him with the others, of course, get tortured a lot. In my opinion, Jax got the worst of the punishments as they showing their fears, but he actually got skinned, which I don't think anyone had that on their bingo list for episode 8, but yeah.
With the others deciding for their own well-being to not press the matter, but then Kane shows up and becomes the much more concerning thing.
Others decide, Gangle decided, but then Gangle is obviously the one that, you know, people talk about when they're talking about Jax being abusive or stuff like that. But yeah.
But I do get the idea of not fully liking the scene and how it's designed to clear the way for Jax to still have a place in this friend group. Personally, I like it, as otherwise we'd waste time on a bullshit third act breakup, where we know based on the characters and the themes, it's like every Scooby-Doo movie.
Okay.
Why are you like this?
These kids are gonna get mad, walk away, but we know they're gonna get over it and work together to stop the goofy maniac who's been making them all miserable. But with that said, Jax, being the second main character, is something that I have my own complex feelings about. Yeah, he and Pomni, they're the main two. They have gotten way more...
Goose actually did confirm it, but a lot of people got super annoyed at her for that. So they decided... People got super annoyed at Goose Works for that. So Goose Works decided to obviously delete their tweet. So basically, yes. They are technically the main characters, but no, they're not the main characters because, the Minnesota's fandom gets want to choose their own characters, which fair enough. If you guys don't like the main characters, you can consider your character the main character, I guess. Although it's, I will say from like the first 4 episodes, episode 3, it's hard to tell, but like from the lot of the episodes, it's always Jax and probably the other main. Zoo, I wouldn't even consider anywhere near the main, simply because she misses like the first 3 episodes.
Spotlight than everyone else, and that's just a fact. He is the one whose struggle we have spent the most time learning about and understanding. Gangle does get time to shine and is healing. Narratively, she is less important than the dude who's made her life a living hell, and that can be a bitter pill to swallow. I like Jax well enough, fun to dissect why he acts the way that he does. However, I do think my biggest gripe with him isn't even like his fault. It's more that I'm just getting fatigued with this archetype getting just the spotlight every single time. There's always some abrasive whoopee who's spiraling but just needs a little bit of love to stop being terrible. It's like not a bad trope, I'm just getting so tired.
I do kind of like trope, but like it really depends on how the trope is done, I guess.
How much space conversations about characters getting redemption arcs take up in fandom spaces. Like, I said this years ago, but
I have not watched Avatar. I want to, but I also can't be arsed, I can't lie.
Need to stop using Zuko as an example for every single redemption arc. Because not every show has the amount of time that Avatar did to show Zuko being evil, and then how he makes amends with every single member of the cast. That isn't named top because they were pretty much always chill. Bro set the bar high, he did it so thoroughly because he had the episode count to actually make it happen. Meanwhile, The Amazing Circus only has a self-prescribed 9. But Jax being given what seems like a pass, and being annoyed at how his behavior is seemingly being swept under the rug, because themes and such, is a valid thing to be annoyed about. As often, it's not because of what happens in a scene, it's about why it's written that way. Because a writer can basically justify anything or have it make sense in the world, or explain why this exact thing needed to happen. So having Gangle be the one to step in when Zubul is calling out Jax on his shit and agreeing with him, then saying Jax pressing the button doesn't matter, that they really just need to all come together, could be read as the creator trying to pave the way for the audience accepting Jax's turn. And
I was gonna say that because of the Gangle who's been abused, or if you want, like just assaulted by Jax on a regular basis. If they're saying it's okay, people don't really have a reason to hate Jax. You can still hate him for his actions and such was. But if you're saying the person who's actually being consistently assaulted is actually, excusing his behavior right now and wants to actually work together and sell stuff, then you obviously see like it's slightly trying to redeem Jax. But as we know from episode 9, he probably isn't getting redeemed because of the way it looks.
Have it be more believable. That if his biggest victim is saying lay off, we kind of have to too. And now, depending on the execution, stuff like this, like I do tend to throw side-eye at, from Hazbin Hotel not having a single member of the main cast lose someone to the Angels that stayed dead, and
that's what I wouldn't mind if someone could say that, but I know I would hate if a character I like get killed off. That's the problem. Like, if a character gets killed off, it can be good for Ryan's perspective, but if a character you like get killed off, it's like, oh my god. For example, in Hasbro, if Lucifer gets killed in that season 3, it will probably be good for the plot and story, but like, I would hate it because Lucifer's my 3rd favorite character, like in the top 3. So yeah, that's why like, unless it's at the end of the series, then fair, be annoying, but like still. Anyway, that's my thought.
Depersonalize the atrocities the Angels committed, making the fact that the genocide is only emotionally relevant to the people who committed it.
I will say, the people who are being genocide are in hell. I doubt they really care about everyone being killed, unless it's themselves. I mean, some people probably, I guess in season 2, they were convinced to go against them, but like, people probably wouldn't care that much. The fact that they're just probably doing it for vengeance on like being killed or having to be hunted down consistently or having to be scared of angels, etc.
That does feel weird, as it means that we don't have anybody of the oppressed group who was hurt to honestly voice any kind of resentment that the story would have to sacrifice a song to unpack. Or how in She-Ra, Catra committed about 15 different war crimes, sacked a massive city, with it being very convenient that all the princesses she wronged are mind controlled by the villain when she finally decides to join the good guys. And the story can just decide, oh yeah, we're just gonna unpack her relationship with her adopted sister and future wife. For the most part, these two examples I think get away with it, as the arcs work well enough and it fits the themes. I personally have a lot of grace for when shows do things that fit the theme of the story, even when they do feel so fucking wrong to me personally. Like in X-Men 97 where they have a chance to kill the bad guy who just committed a genocide, but they say, hold on, let's give you a chance to redeem yourself. And I groaned so hard. But the theme.
Love it.
And this gets me to this other thing I've been mulling over.
Let me know in the comments if you guys do think Jax was forgiven so easily. Like I said, I don't think he's technically been forgiven. They really just have better things to worry about. Like one, now that Kane's gone at the end, they really don't have time to worry about Jax's bullshit. And also during this, they really were just lost, and they really don't have any reason. They have a reason to hate Jax, sure. But like, really, what would that accomplish? Like, if you hate Jax, it really does nothing. Like, you could say, oh, I hate Jax, but like, he's still gonna be there unless he abstracts, of course. He's still gonna be there. I would like to know if Jax did abstract, if anyone there would actually mourn him or have a funeral for him. Like, I can see them still holding a funeral, but like, how much people there would really care if he abstracted? You know what I mean? Probably. Ragnarok, probably, because they've been there the second longest, right? Obviously after King. I don't know if Gangle would care that much, or Zubul would. Like, they might just be like mid and sing because they weren't really close to Jax. So they might care a bit, but like, not enough to actually probably cry about it. Anyway.
I feel like fandom spaces do have this thing where the shows that have a message about restorative justice, that is like building someone a new house versus punishing the person who burnt to death.
In my last video with Kane, like when this guy's here with like how Kane never had a chance, how Kane swears. Kane literally, I'm pretty sure, just doesn't have a filter on himself at all, because it obviously says you know what they say about assuming makes an ass out of you and Ming. He doesn't get censored, but Pomley gets censored for saying ass. You know what I mean? So I just don't think he had a censor on him. That's why he says damn in episode 8. That's just my thought process on that.
In the first place, those shows do tend to have a very loud subsection that yell the most about a show not doing enough for a character to be considered redeemed. That their punishment wasn't enough, that they weren't held accountable enough, and while there's certainly a conversation to be had about those shows,
I don't really care for redemption arcs at all that much. If a redemption arc happens, fair enough, and if it's actually a good redemption, then I guess we like a character that I normally hated. Obviously I like Jax regardless, but if I hate a character like a villain character and they get redeemed and I actually start liking them, or they start becoming useful, then fair enough, it'll be great, it's nice. But I really wouldn't care if characters didn't get redemptions at most. Like, unless it's a character who obviously went good and I got to know them a bit and then went bad and then got redemption, then fair enough. But most characters, I'm like, I really couldn't care less if they get redemption, or if they do and it's great redemption arc, then fair enough, great. And you got me like the character. Perfect.
Which ones do suffer a kind of stakes bloat, where a story that could have just been about an abusive family balloons into being about galactic empires and resistances. And there's a question.
Sure, this will be really bad. Okay. I had to make sure that would be really bad of it for you.
That aesthetic of empire really benefits a story, or dilutes the message in saying that this is what bad looks like, when often
say episode 2 might have just teased that Ken was god. Like, now I'm looking back on it, by saying obviously he thought of himself as a god. So I think episode 2 was kind of teasing that Ken was gonna Ken thinks of himself as a god of creation. Now I'm looking back on it.
it is far more banal. Digital Circus for me is doing a pretty good job of giving a grounded message in a very crazy setting. So I'm willing to hear it out in what it's trying to say about Jax, as his arc isn't over yet. They didn't kick his ass to the curb when they definitely could have. He is still being an ass, who, when stuck in the cafe where he and Ribbit used to hang out, he starts to antagonize the others, only to get hit with the
silent treatment first time.
And more than anything else in that talking scene,
also,
this is the moment that
the problem with the knife thing, by the way, is like, from what I know, he actually gets teleplayed to a past trailer, and that's actually like, I don't know if it's a reference or if it's actually why Kane acts different in that trailer and whatever.
Me that things are going to be different, and that Jax's behavior is in the process of being corrected. As people are right, Jax hasn't put in the work to change. He hasn't tried to make...
This came out before episode 9's trailer. I don't think he's going to change or be redeemed or be corrected, if you will. Just don't think it's going to happen.
Amends with anybody, only being thankful they are letting him hang around. Him trying to start...
I can see him toning it down.
Shit, yeah, he hasn't changed. But rather than getting a rise, everyone just stonewalls him. They recognize he's just acting out for attention, so they don't give him any. The group has finally realized when not to care about the toxic air leaving his lips, which is an important step for them and a sign that Jax will have to change. His old ways aren't going to cut it anymore, and yes, it would be nice if he changed sooner rather than later. I think it's also very important that the group, and especially Gangle, are realizing to just not give Jax any power over them. That he may be one of them, but that doesn't mean they have to engage with him when he's being like this. For as much as Digital Circus likes to say the subtext out loud, I do think it has dawned on everyone here that the free reign they used to give Jax was a mistake. Him terrorizing Gangle wasn't checked enough. It's not their fault, but it's having an environment where this behavior...
Yeah, I feel like people were actually hitting... Like, people, if obviously Jax got consequences for his actions, it probably would have changed stuff. For example, if Kane just enforced it so they can't attack or harm each other, then fair. Like, if, for example, Kane enforces it, so if you ended up harming each other on purpose, it would count as like a, crime or punishment, and Kane actually does a punishment for them, a very bad one that will make you not want to do it. I can see that being a thing, and Kane would have probably got more people to like him. Obviously, maybe some people who are like Jax probably would hate him for it, but at the same time, that's one out of most people. You would get more people to like him. If there's a punishment awaiting people who actually do these kind of crimes, great. But I can see, like, for example, if Jax hits someone else just punches Jax or beats Jax up or whatever for doing that thing, or do the exact same thing to Jax, so it will keep him more in check and stuff. If he's like actually more in check, all that
was tolerated is what led to things becoming as bad as they were. So if this is any indication of how things might change in the future, Zooble has already shown that they are willing to check Jax just from here on out, meaning that Jax cannot be the antagonizer that he once was. They're not giving him grace, they have just gotten better at dealing with him, though it shouldn't be on them to manage him. Jax, for all of his bullshits, still needs to change, and there are actually signs of that. He nearly did have a panic attack at the confirmation that this is all real. Everything he did was real, so his actions matter. So rather than sitting around to hear more backstory, he excuses himself to try and distract
everyone. It seems Jax is kind of abstract. I feel like I can see someone abstracting at the end, whether it's gonna be Jax or not. Like the Goose they say it'll be someone we least expect to abstract or something. Which I guess Kane, you got delayed, he didn't abstract for that. It's not abstraction. Like, maybe Kingo, because now people don't think Kingo will abstract because of how stable he is. But also, like, Jax has been leading up. I can see him doing 180 and someone else abstracting, or Jax causing someone to abstract somehow.
Kane, being an actual team player for once, with one of the small signs that he's changing being how he's willing to let Kane torture him. Dude has freaked out at nearly every other instance of him being made fun of, yet when it comes to distracting Kane, he's suddenly willing to suggest Kane use him as dental floss.
I don't know if he suggested that, or if he just say do something stuck in your teeth and then Kane took it literally like he did with the bone removal stuff.
The physical abuse of being Kane's plaything to give Kinger a chance to stop Kane, which feels like something that he would have refused to do before. As when they did this before, Jax didn't have to humiliate himself to keep the AI's attention. So, while it's not much and he is still being a whiner, I do think it's meant to signal that Jax is actually putting the group over himself. Not just him looking for a convenient excuse to avoid being seen as weak. It's not a lot, but it's something, and the finale will make or break how everyone feels about Jax, and just how much self-reflection apologies we're actually going to get. But I think, for what it's doing, I think this story has done a decent job at balancing Jax being a member of the friend group, and showing that this isn't really forgiveness.
That's annoying, but I'm going to be on holiday on this, so I'm going to have to react to this on holiday, and it might be out, it might take a while to actually get out, but I will be on holiday. Hopefully I'm not ill when I'm reacting to this. If I am, I'll have to save it and wait later and then react. But all in all, I'm really excited for this and I cannot wait for episode 9. I will be on holiday, like I said. I'll try the reaction video as much as possible, as quick as possible, and get that out for you guys. Yeah, it'll probably be me reacting while I'm on like a balcony or something in my hotel room. But yeah.
It's acknowledging what they all need to do to keep moving forward, with the reveal of Jax's personal hell being his complete and utter fear of vulnerability to be seen by his friends and laughed at. I can definitely see Gooseworks winding up, and to have Jax finally break down in front of everyone else, and to finally apologize for what he did, and have Zooble step over and call him a bitch before giving him that hug. Alright, that's gonna be it for now. I'm Sarcastic Horse. Like,
saying Jax, you're a bitch, and it pushes him into the void. Sorry, I can see that happening.
Subscribe, all those other things. Trying to really get that 600k this year, as it has kind of been driving me crazy for a while. Let me know what other topics of digital circus you want me to discuss, and we'll see if I can do it. Or make a short. I really have failed at making those lately, and I feel like I really need to get back on that horse. But that's a me problem. Everyone else, I hope you have a fantastic day.
All things considered, that was a great video. Video will be linked in the description down below. All things considered, do you guys think Jax was forgiven too easy? I personally don't think he's been forgiven. He's just been put on watch, like he said in the video. I think basically they're not, Venom's can't be asked for these bullshit, at least in this episode. And next episode, they don't like they're dealing with it. And Jax obviously goes on spiral with his mask, probably. Or at least he's like remembering stuff. Something's gonna happen in episode 8, 9, and I'm really happy. Like I said, let me know in the comments down below if you do think Jax was forgiven too easy.